Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stresses on the need to scale up the country's agricultural system. And Deputy Prime Minister inaugurates a state-of-the-art training center. Greetings and a very warm welcome to Addis News Hour. With the news, I'm Shifarao Lako. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has expressed the need to scale up the country's agriculture system meant to transform Ethiopia. This remark came when the Premier was inaugurating the Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industry Park in the state of Oromia. Kushumelisau has more on that.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, accompanied with other senior government officials, has inaugurated Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industry Park in Oromia region. The agro-industry park is expected to process meat, fruit and egg products. On the occasion, the Premier said Ethiopia and agriculture are inseparable. He stressed that the nation's agriculture needs to be modernized to transform Ethiopia.
We want to transform Ethiopia, but if we want to realize that, we have to modernize Ethiopia's agricultural system. Unless the agricultural system is scaled up, we won't apprehend Ethiopia's industrial transformation. We want to change the lives of Ethiopian people. Our prime target is to transform the lives of the farmers and pastoralists who are thriving day and night. Thus, we're working to show this in practice, not only in words, but also in action. As you know, this year we plan to develop 300,000 hectares of land with lowland wheat, but we were able to develop 350,000, which is beyond our target. We also achieved successful results in cloud seedling technology.
Citing Ethiopia's long-standing independence history, the Premier explained that the country is striving to improve the lives of its people, withholding foreign forces which are pressing Ethiopia not to expedite its development.
Ethiopia has never bent the knee to any pressure. Ethiopia still stands with its people's cooperation and sacrifice. Ethiopia has many patriotic citizens who are working to aspire a prosperous nation. Hence, the country will be transformed to the stage it deserves. I'd like to urge the general public that Ethiopia stands by the bones and bloods of its beloved sons and daughters. Although the current situation is scary, we have to pay a lot to achieve successful result. I am sure we will pass these obstacles and make history again. This agro-industry park will play a significant role, but this is a beginning, not an end.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry, for its part, said the government has taken steps to address problems faced by the industrial park, adding measures are underway to ensure the effectiveness of industrial parks across the country.
The effectiveness of industrial parks can be ensured when they are supported by available inputs, peace, stability and wealth. I would like to assure you that the Minister of Trade and Industry will work together with Oromia Regional State for the success of the industrial parks development.
Meanwhile, Chief of Oromia Regional State Shimelis Abdissa said Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industry Park has paramount importance to transform the lives of resident farmers.
Now, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Ambassador Dina Mufti, gave a briefing to international media outlets based in Addis Ababa about the status of the GERD negotiations, the Ethio-Sudan border issue, and the upcoming general elections. Speaking about the GERD, he said the construction and filling of the dam would be held according to the schedule, adding that Ethiopia stood firm to utilize the Nile water's resources fairly and equitably while causing no significant harm to downstream countries. Ethiopia is committed to applying the motto of African solutions to African problems for the GERD negotiations, he said, and Sudan and Egypt are unnecessarily internationalizing the matter. The spokesperson also talked about some of the concessions Ethiopia had to make to ensure the negotiations turn out successful, such as the willingness to exchange data and widen the role of observers so that they can offer their opinions and separately consult the negotiating parties. Regarding the Ethio-Sudan border dispute, Ambassador Dina condemned the belligerent acts of the Sudanese troops in compromising the well-being of Ethiopians, which is contrary to the fraternal relationship that exists between the people of the two countries. He said existing border conflict resolution mechanisms, including the works of various joint border committees, could have solved the problem peacefully and expressed Ethiopia's readiness to solve the problem amicably. The Sudanese stance over the GERD and the border issue does not represent the interests of the people of Sudan, but a third party, he said. On the upcoming election, he said, the electoral process is well underway, and observers from international and domestic institutions are finalizing their preparations to undertake their responsibilities. Although the EU has announced the cancellation of its plan to deploy election observers, he said the Union has decided to send observers at experts level. He thus said election observers are expected to follow guidelines to carry out their duties as laid out by proper institutions in Ethiopia. Now, the United States has reiterated its position that disputes over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam should only be resolved through a tripartite negotiation. The U.S. once again said Ethiopia has the right to use its water resources. This was said during U.S. Senators' visit to Khartoum this week. Emmanuel Jorge tells you more on that.
Although Egypt and Sudan are striving to politicize the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam as international issue, they are no more succeeding with it. Delegation from the United States led by Senator Chris Coons has discussed with Sudanese government officials during an official visit in Khartoum this week. On the issue of the GERD, which was one part of their agenda, even though Senator Chris Coons rejected it, Sudan requested the U.S. government to put pressure on Ethiopia to sign a legally binding agreement. Winding up the visit, Senator Chris Coons said that Ethiopia has a right to utilize its own water resources and Sudan has the right to get technical data and information. The U.S. Senator said for the press the U.S. recognizes that Ethiopia has the right to build its dam, generate electricity, and use its own water resources. Sudan, on the other hand, has a right to get information and data concerning the flow of water, safety of the dam, and other technical details. Senator Coons underscored that the United States believes that the Renaissance Dam dispute must be resolved only through trilateral negotiation among the three countries. He also mentioned that he has discussed the Renaissance Dam dispute with Sudanese ministers, saying the issue should only be resolved by negotiation of the three countries. He believes that they should negotiate with a spirit of positivity. Though Egypt and Sudan are always trying to make the U.S. intervene in the issue of Renaissance Dam dispute, but the Biden administration is carefully examining the interests behind the request. The Egyptian media Egypt Daily recently asked the National Security Council of White House concerning the role of U.S. in resolving the GERD dispute. The council on its part replied that the United States follows fair procedures for the effectiveness of their tripartite negotiations.
Welcome back. You're still watching at this news hour. Lawrence Freeman says U.S. senators' call for postponing Ethiopian election is both foolish and very dangerous. He criticizes the senators' opinions about Ethiopia, which almost exclusively bases on media or from Amnesty International. This could encourage and fuel post-election violence, he said on an article he wrote Friday. Sindayo Tamrat tells us more from the article.
On his latest article, Lawrence Freeman, who is a political economic analyst for Africa, says Ethiopia is to conduct national parliamentary elections that will be decisive not only for Ethiopia, but the entire Horn of Africa. On the eve of Special Envoy Ambassador Jeffrey Feltman's first trip to the Horn of Africa, 5 Democratic U.S. senators sent him a letter expressing their concerns about Ethiopia. Unfortunately, in their letter, the senators displayed a shallow understanding, one might even say ignorance, about the conflict in Ethiopia. Furthermore, their suggestion that Ethiopia's national elections should not go forward is downright dangerous. One wonders if these senators have any knowledge of the last 125-year intricate history of Ethiopia. A period spans from the March 1, 1896 victory at Adwa by Emperor Menelik II against the Italian colonial army to the present efforts by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to unify the Ethiopian nation through the newly created non-ethnic-based Prosperity Party. The senators appeared to have based their opinions about Ethiopia almost exclusively on news reports or from Amnesty International, he argues. It is outrageous for members of the U.S. Senate to suggest that a sovereign nation should cancel their elections. To my knowledge, only one party, not several, has chosen to abstain. However, these U.S. senators' accusations are giving cover for more parties to withdraw. The writer reminds readers that, in response to this call to postpone upcoming election of Ethiopia, Ethiopia's ambassador to Washington, Fitsum Arega, replied on May 4 in his own letter to Ambassador Feltman. Ambassador Fitsum wrote that the upcoming June parliamentary election will be a historic milestone in the political transformation of Ethiopia. The Ethiopian National Electoral Board, which is the most independent electoral body in the history of the nation, has been established and is responsible for organizing, conducting, and overseeing the election and election-related activities, Ambassador Fitsum said. Freeman explains that despite the best efforts by Ethiopian government to conduct its most open and transparent election in the last 26 years, no doubt difficulties will occur in the voting process. However, opposition political parties will now be able to opportunistically claim the election is illegitimate and contest the results, citing allegations from the U.S. Senator's letter. This could fuel violence, thus making it more challenging for the government to manage post-election violence, he implied. It should be noted that the United States has never postponed a national election, despite severe dislocations of its people, not during World War II, not during the Great Depression, not during the Spanish flu, and not during the surge of the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to the largest number of mail-in ballots in U.S. history.
Now in business, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dammaka Makonnen, has inaugurated a state-of-the-art training center built by the Ethiopian Standards Agency. The training center, lying on 1,880 square meters, has consumed 450 million birr. Daniel Kasaun has more on that.
The center that accommodates 16 classrooms and 40 bedrooms is expected to provide training with a view to create efficient services in the field of standardization. The academy will conduct research activities for East African countries and provide support to various higher education institutions beyond providing training. During the occasion, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister stressed the need to build competence economy with the support of quality standard systems and sectors that require the application of simple and complex technologies. In this regard, he added the newly inaugurated Standard Academy, which is the first of its kind, would contribute to enhance quality standards of Ethiopian products.
ስታንዳርድን ማጥበቅ ነው በኢኮኖሚ ተወዳዳሪ መሆን ነው
It is really crystal clear that the Academy would have unparalleled significance to move forward cooperation to a higher level. The relation to the Academy and the historic ties had received with the exchange of high-level visitors over the last few years, the flourishing bilateral trade and investment ties, and the growing people-to-people contacts.
Trade and Industry Minister Malakola on his part underscored the need to have efficient training and communicate with the standards in the international market. The center will help Ethiopia be competitive in the retail industry and benefit African countries in the field of standard and quality, he pointed out. Noting that the development of countries depends on the proximity to technology and education manpower, the minister said standards have become more significant than the global language of communication. Additional academy is being built at a cost of 1.9 billion birr and 50 million USD has been provided for human resource development, according to him.
Now, a team of more than 40 prominent business persons has visited mega projects being undertaken in Addis Ababa. During the visits, members of the team were provided with a briefing about the progress of the projects and how they are important to build the capacity of the country and in creating employment opportunities. The visit, which was organized by Office of the Prime Minister Press Secretariat, would encourage the business persons to fulfill their responsibilities in attracting more investment. Among the projects visited by members of the team include the renovation of Addis Ababa city government building, as well as Adwa 0 kilometer, Meskel Square, and Bole Airport expansion projects. And finally, a quick reminder of the top stories. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stresses on the need to scale up the country's agriculture system. And Deputy Prime Minister Demeka Mekonnen inaugurates a state-of-the-art training center. With that, we come to the end of this news edition. Many thanks indeed for watching us.